The shield, the shield, the shield. Welcome to the shield. We keep it real under the shield, baby. We back. This your boy Los, the host. You got Romy in the middle.
What's up, good people? Let's go.
Go ahead, kick us off, man.
Well, I'm going to say welcome to all my people who are watching. We love you. We thank you for always showing up and showing out for us. There is some breaking news. And the breaking news is, y'all ready?
Don't say nothing ignorant.
I didn't say, come on, man. No, this actually has to do with the topic where as we talk about black love, the resilience of black love. And this has to do with the family side of it. So if you haven't known, Marcus Jordan has got in trouble with the police regarding a DUI or something like that. And the way this plays into our show tonight is, the black community, for the most part, adores its athletes and the celebrities. And in this case, probably no honor than Michael Jordan. And what we're going to get into, I don't want to get all the way into it, but we're going to talk about when you have a famous father, when you have that type of level of either parenting or lack thereof, how it affects the children as well. But before we go into that, I'm responsible for relationship love tonight. We got Rome is responsible for family love tonight, and Los is responsible for help me out, Los.
Self-love and forgiveness.
Self love and forgiveness in the
Hold on,
spirit.
wait. Before we do this,
Okay,
let me wish all the good people in the audience happy Black History Month, right?
that's what I was like.
Let's pause for a minute just to understand what we're doing right now, right? It's February. I know Black History Month is every month, right? But there's a lot going on in the world, and they saying the black people don't count. They saying the black vote don't count. They saying the black money don't count. They say black love don't count. But I'm here to tell you it do, right? And I want to take time to acknowledge the fact that black is beautiful, black is special, black lives matter. I'm not saying other lives that matter. I'm not racist. Your boy Lo say, I see you, Lim. I ain't racist, man, but I do want to be able to specify the black race. Let me just tell you why. Once upon a time, they came over there with a boat. Right? They forced us on this boat. I'm talking about we were chilling, man, our own business, somewhere deep, deep down in the motherland. And then they brought us here and we helped build this country and we get no acknowledgement. We don't know our home tribe. We don't know our language. We don't know none of this. And so this is why we got to be able to talk about the resiliency of black people, black love, black power, black culture. And so I want y'all to sit back, grab your popcorn, kick back in your seat like King Lemuel, file your nails, but I want you to listen to this show, but I want you to listen from the perspective of black respect. Okay, now come on, Lim. Now you could. That was a proper introduction. Come on, Lim.
Okay, here we go. Welcome to Black History Month. It is, and our shows are going to focus on Black History Month for the rest of the month. And I just want to talk about some stats that I picked up off. So, as we stand, as of 2023, ladies and gentlemen, we have 41 million African Americans in this country. Out of that 41 million African Americans in this country, 5.2 are married, according to the census. 5.2. Keep that number in mind. So, what we're talking about as we want to build community, wealth, prosperity for our families and communities, what we're saying right now is we're probably about 12% marriage rate in this country. Now, what does that mean? That means that when we're trying, they say the number one way to build wealth is through family and through family marriage. And what we want to do is present a understanding of what it's going to take to move to the needle moving forward for our families. And is everybody going to get married? No. But we need to understand how we're going to come together as people in order for us to prosper outside of sports and athletics. With that being said, I'm going to pass the mic to my brother, Romy Rome. Tell us about the Black family.
Well, good evening, good night, wherever you are in the world. I'll say this, man. When we talk about the Black resilience, you got to think about how Los opened up. We came across on a boat, but it wasn't a cruise ship. There was nothing nice about this whole thing. Um, and for those who like to do museums, I highly recommend you go to the one in DC. I've been hearing great things about that one. Definitely the one in Detroit. It's a part where you walk through a reenactment of like you're going through the core of the ship. And if that don't get you, you hearing all of the moaning and the groaning, it's an eye opener, man. You might come out of there, crying and things like that. But when you think about, slavery and how unfortunate it was because people lost their loved ones, their husbands were sold off to other plantations. Their children was taken from them and different things of that nature. So to come from that and to be able to form families and to come together, I got some stats that I'll read to you guys here. Got to put on my specs. Different day and time, man. I ain't no young Thundercat no more. I can't just look at it and think I can see. Those days is over with. Let me read y'all some stats from back then to now. So basically, of course, the Black families went through slavery, segregation, and currently systemic racism. It says that they call it the antebellum period. Black men and women could not legally marry. Enslaved parents had no legal rights to their children. Enslaved communities developed kinship networks to cope with family separation. And when you think about that, there was no counselors back at that time. So people just had their families disrupted, taken away, and nobody dealing with the PTSD, nobody dealing with the post traumatic syndromes that they had to deal with of not having that husband, not having that wife, and most likely never seeing them again for many, many years. So that was the unfortunate part. I'm gonna read the post-emancipation part of it. It says that African Americans worked to reunite families and formalize marriages. Married households were the most common family structure, but decreased over time. Single parent homes remained stable until 1960 when they increased dramatically. So there was a time where the man was in the household back in that day, and then as we got into the '60s, going into the '70s, we started seeing the single parent households come along. So we're gonna get into the 20th century. Of course, that was 1910. You had the Great Migration. The '30s, you had the Great Depression. Civil rights movements was within the '50s and the '60s, and the war on drugs was in the '80s and the '90s. Let's talk about the war on drugs. The dynamics of how that destroyed, a lot of mothers' sons that was out there on the block selling drugs, killed in the street game, and things of that nature. Fathers being locked up, killed, and things like that. So we went through a lot of hardships. And in today's world where we are right now, Black families are still affected by structural racism, mass incarceration, and it says that Black Americans can learn from their family history by speaking to relatives, conducting online research, or using your DNA services. So today, a lot of people probably use Ancestry.com, but if you use Ancestry.com, you won't get a chance to know what tribe you came from. It'll tell you where your lineage of which country you came from. But they say that if you go out there, you can do an actual African study, and it'll show you which tribe you came from over in the motherland. So We're gonna touch on a good bit of things, but I wanted to give you guys my stats up front before we start diving deep. I'll pass it over to Los.
I'm gonna dive deep then. So based on what Lim said, let me shake the boat automatically, right? Before we even get started, Ron took off his glasses. Let me shake the boat, right? So mine is more so a self love, and so instead of the stuff I was gonna talk about, let's bring up my man Marcus Jordan, right? That's what he said. Breaking news, right? Let's bring up Marcus Jordan, right? So self love is the feeling of appreciation and positive regards for yourself, right? It's a positive trait that can improve your mental health, relationships, and well-being. Let's just stop there, right? So my thing is, I don't want to call the young man a simp, right? I do, but I don't. Right? I do want to call my man a simp, but I don't. For so, in all due fairness and respect to Michael Jordan, I'm gonna give my man the benefit of the doubt. But I can say in this past year or so, my man been doing a lot of ill-advised things, I should say, right? And I ain't even talking about the drugs. We talking about the women he's choosing, the older women. We talking about my man blowing the opportunities and blowing the bag and messing up the family name and having the best opportunity to be able to make it in the lead as far as the success is concerned, better than his brother Jeffrey, right? And so it's really alarming to see this, right? So when you think about Black history and you think about self-awareness, it's just not what we came from, like the resilience. My man had the silver platter laid out in front of him. So much so, my man got pulled over and told the police, Lim, my dad, Michael Jordan, he was name dropping. My man say, hey, he pulled out the car, the black car. And I'm pretty sure the young lady he was with was not black. We'll get into that later, right? But the premise is, it's funny how him, OJ, I ain't black, I'm OJ, all that's cool until you want the black support and you want the black people to go ahead and support you, right? So when you talk about self-love and you talk about understanding who you are and where you came from and all the sacrifices his dad had to make before for him to be driving this Lamborghinis on the tracks, on the train track that he got stuck and trying to do his thing on the low and got caught. What I'm trying to explain to you is there was people that laid their life on the line. They got lynched. They got beat. They got raped. They couldn't vote. They couldn't drink out the same water fountain. They got bit by dogs. They got sprayed with powerful water hose. For you to sit up here and take advantage of your dad being a billionaire and you out here playing around with some cocaine and white girls playing in the snow. Sorry, you see this, Dr. Umar. That man playing in the snow. Both figuratively and literally. He playing in the snow. So my thing is when you talk about the self-love, a lot of black people got to be able to forgive themselves, forgive a lot of the traumas, forgive a lot of and to be honest with you, a lot of people haven't broke through from all that pressure of being Michael Jordan's son. You would never imagine what that even feel like or look like. So I'm not blaming the young man, but what I am saying is you got to get the help you need or you deserve because the world is watching. And if somebody want to be around Michael Jordan's son, not even Michael Jordan, I want to be around his son or even his ex-wife or somebody that knew Jordan sitting there marvel. I remember one of my guys in Chicago, his dad was Michael Jordan Porter. So he used to wash his cars and bring them up. That was his job for many, many years, over 12, 13 years at that point. He used to just bring his cars in. He used to work at his residence every day. So when he used to come and when he talked, we listened. Now, man, this man ain't Michael Jordan. He worked, he to help. But just to hear a story of Michael Jordan and what he did on his off days, he had everybody attention. And it's just showing you what if we had that same regard for W.E.B. Du Bois, Booker T. Washington, Jesse Owens, Jackie Robinson. somebody that actually paved the way for us. What if we had that same regard to somebody that did something impeccable instead of trying to tear down their lineage and their legacy like Trump trying to do King? Oh, get on out of there. Get
Hey,
out of there.
pass the mic. Let me take the mic here. So here's what I want to touch on, and we talked about this, I think, in the last, not the last show, show before last. When you think about those numbers that I brought up about how many people are married, how many black people are married in this country, it makes or leads credence to why we take so much emotional stock in Obama and Michelle. If you grew up in a family and you weren't one of the 5 million to grow up with your mom and your dad in the home, then it's very important for you to grasp, grab, or latch on to something that looks like the way a black family's supposed to look. So that's the reason why the Cosby Show was so popular. Michelle and Obama, you got people that get into arguments about Michelle and Obama. They ain't never met them. They wouldn't identify them if they was on fire. I hate to say it. But people get into arguments about this. They really, and I get it because we have not had always the best examples of black family in front of us. So to see two people who went to the heights of success that the world said, President of the United States, the White House, and we've talked about this for a long time, we understand why. But let's take a look at just deep dive into this a little bit. So if you, as Rome said, were raised in a single family household, what does that mean in America? Okay. All right. We already know all the statistics, the negative statistics. But beyond those statistics, it puts a lot of pressure on that custodial parent, whether it be the man or a woman, to then try to supplement and subsidize what those children are going to get from both of their parents. Now, is it impossible? No. Is it extremely challenging? Yes. And part of talking about this, it shows the resilience of the black family. We've overcome, as you say, slavery. We overcome Jim Crow. We've overcome the crack era, which was devastating to our communities. We've overcome single parent household, which is its own devastation. We've overcome mass incarceration, right? Because if you look at the numbers, it's more of us there than others. So we've overcome these things. And are we where we should be? No, but we still fight, we're still here, and we're still counted for. And no matter what powers that be that are sick of black folks, they can't do nothing to derail the influence that we've had, not just in America, across the world. Case in point, and I'll pass the mic. When you have brothers and sisters like Jill Scott, you have brothers and sisters like Nasir. You have brothers and sisters like KRS One and many, many, many others. Go to China, go to Japan. And those kids who can't speak English know every lyric to their song. It blows them away the first time they travel to other countries, and they're actually more popular in other countries than they are in their own. Last thing, it was Miles Davis who lived in, I believe it was Paris and London for part of his life. He said the reason why he started doing drugs, or at least one of the reasons, is when he came to America, he wasn't treated with the reverence and respect that he was treated with in London and Paris by, watch this, white folk. I passed the mic to my brother Ron.
Hey, y'all hitting on some things, man. When it comes to the black love and where we are today, I would say to the parents out there who's raising, young ladies that's in college right now, that once you notice she's maturing and she's of age, it's probably best that we tell the young ladies if they desire to be married, they might want to start taking the dating thing a little more serious in college, because your counterparts out there. they're meeting their husbands in college. And no, they're not getting married necessarily at 22, 23. They get married at 25, 26, but they're meeting their fiancés while they're in college. I could date back to when I was in school. There were several people who, beautiful young ladies, and they would tell you in a heartbeat, right now I'm focused on my academics. I don't have time for XYZ. And fast forward, I don't think people realize how quickly 30 hits you. By the time you hit 30, the young lady, the same young lady who desires to be married, has probably been to 6 to 8 weddings and wondering, when is my time? When is my time? And you end up doing the bargaining, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. And you don't want to be that person doing shoulda, coulda, wouldas and things like that. Oh, maybe I missed them, and doing all of these things. So I would just say that if marriage is a priority and that's how you were raised and that's a desire of yours, that you teach the young ladies to be more open and receptive to a relationship when she's in college, because you're seeing the young men who's about that action, boss, as my man Beast Mode would say. The ones who's actually in school to be a lawyer, the ones who's in school to be a doctor, the ones who are in school to be an engineer. You seeing what that young man is all about, and it's not about any of the foolishness. You get a chance to seriously see what that person is doing. Trust me, the people who's not there for school, they're gonna be weeded out after the first, second year. But the people who really trying to see that graduation date and build a family, you're going to see those things. So I encourage, those, when we talk about resiliency, that, we start shedding a light on, if you really desire to be married one day and you're in school, start taking the dating thing serious in your 20s instead of just the hot girl summer, the things of that nature, because 30's going to creep up on you and you'll went to 6 to 8 weddings and wonder, where did I go wrong? That's my take on that when it comes to where we are in today's state. Let Lowe's have the mic.
I just want to shine the light on Black forgiveness. If y'all think about every other race, I mean, to me, this is just so amazing. I'm so astonished by the fact of how, not only how resilient Black people are, but the fact that they forgive so hard. We have been, like I said, raped, taken advantage of. And the first thing come to my mind, Roman, I've spoken about this about a year or two ago, but I could recall the young man, and his brother was killed, and he hugged the officer that killed his brother and asked permission. Can I hug you? And came down there and hugged the lady, man. And I was just so taken back by that. And he was like, I forgive you. And I was like, man, because I'm trying to think of an Asian family that I've seen do that, white family, Native American. I never seen anything like that. And we always have this open forgiveness, and so my thing is, to a fault. It's a blessing and a curse. Because even if you think about it, like in our own individual families, Uncle Charles, Uncle Ray touched you when you was little. And I was just watching the Carissa Shields story, man. That was an impeccable story, man. And she went through a lot of resilience, and she was so tough. The whole movie had to fight everybody, wanted to be the bully like Muhammad Ali. But once you start unveiling a lot of that stuff, it was a lot of hurt, pain. Her mama put her out, and she had to do it on her own and be raised by her coach. So how does she understand how to really love a man if in fact she never, matter of fact, I talked to one of my homegirls. What up, Jeff? I talked to one of my homegirls, and she told me the same story. She said, I went to the military, and it's hard for me to love. She said, it's kind of like I cut off all feelings. I have zero tolerance. I'm not, no nonsense for stuff like this. And she was like, I can love you and I'm going to treat you right. But to really like let my guards down and fall in love, that probably would never happen no more. Like my feelings completely just went away once I went to the military. And I was like, wow, that's something to talk about. Had to mention it to y'all. But I think that forgiveness part is really, really big, especially in Black families. There's a lot of stuff we just don't talk about. It's taboo. You know, it happened and we sweep it under the rug and we saw our dad beat our mom. We say, and we just don't talk about it. We hold a lot inside. That's this another reason which makes us a real strong race. We harbor a lot of these feelings and it comes out in different ways, i.e. sports, i.e. boxing, i.e. UFC, i.e. football. But how about some i.e. talking about it? How about i.e. love? How about i.e. love language? Go ahead, Lil. I'm done.
Man, listen, I want to really get on that. I think God gave us that. Well, let me just before I go there. We probably the African American community is probably the most forgiving community in the world, and I think people, other cultures, have taken advantage of that as a weakness, economically, socially, spiritually, in some respects. But I think if you take a step back, I think God gave us that ability because you have to remember if you can't forgive, it wears and eats at you as much as the person that you're trying to hate. So part of it came through our spiritual upbringing, those old Negro songs. It taught us how to cope when we didn't have a therapist, right? There was no therapist. It taught us how to get to that next day, to get through that next day of picking 500 bales of cotton, right? When you didn't have nobody come on say, hey, John, you did a good job today. It wasn't no good job. You had to, as the Bible says, encourage yourself. And you had to stay connected to the people who were going through the struggles that you were going through. But from a macro global level, I really believe that I don't think there's any other sect of people. Now, we can take this back to the motherland. Even over there, with apartheid and with Nelson Mandela and all that. I mean, we let white folks come in, colonize the motherland, right? And then tell us that we can't be president of our own country. And then get through that, put my man in prison, come out of prison, win a Nobel Peace Prize, and says, I don't want to retaliate. That was Nelson Mandela. Dr. King, the whole thing, I don't want to retaliate. Peaceful protesting. I've heard people say, and I know you probably have too, yeah, y'all stupid. Y'all stupid for putting up with all that, right? Not even an animal will stay for all that type of treatment. But then there's the other side. Grace, that word we don't hear enough. God, I think, has given us a level of grace that maybe passes all understanding, right? Like his peace. And what that grace allows us to do is to stand on business, spiritual business, when other people will fold in anger and resentment, and I got to get back at you. So I really appreciate the forgiveness piece because it's a double-edged sword. Sometimes you don't feel like forgiving. Let's be honest. We don't feel like being like turning the other cheek, right? No, I want the eye for the eye. But God's grace, God's mercy to be able to give us that level of I don't even say comfort in knowing that vengeance is mine. A little Bible for y'all. Vengeance is mine. Come on, bro. Get in. Take
Well,
some of that.
let me say this before Rome
Go
jump in.
ahead.
I'm just add to some of the scriptures that come to my mind personally, right? So there's a scripture in the Bible that say, and I don't know how you want to interpret this. You can interpret this either way you want to go. But it say the last should be first and the first should be last. Now, when you start thinking about that, it seems like we've been last for a long, we've been last on the totem pole for a long time. And the Bible also say all things work together for good to those who love God and called according to his purpose. And once you start thinking about that, man, it just really because just think about it, there's no other excuse. If I call Big Mama on the phone right now, she gonna say, baby, keep your head up, 10 toes down, only the strong survive. You know what I'm saying? Make it happen. Go ahead and pick up your britches, make it happen. Yeah, go on cry, but you got to keep on moving. She gonna give you all these encouragement words. You know why? because that's what her grandma told her, and that's what her grandma told her, and that's what her. So we don't have the choice of being Marcus Jordan and being with some cocaine in the middle of the train tracks and talking about some my daddy Michael Jordan and won't you just go and let me drive home, give me a break. We don't have that option. Go ahead, Romy. I'm sorry.
Hey, no, that's good, man. You know, you both of y'all touched on some things, and the crazy thing about forgiveness is, like Lim said, you know, forgiveness is for you, not the other person. When you harbor on to pain for so long, you know, it's going to do more harm to you than the other individual. And when you think about all of the traumatic situations that our people has dealt with, from the rapings, the slavery days, and to just be in a situation where most moved from the South with the deep racism and moved up north to the Midwest, the East Coast, just so they can have a way of living. And it makes you realize why our grandfather's generation, grandmother, big mama's generation was called the silent generation. They didn't went through too much. Who wants to relive the past and things like that? So only thing they can do is show you love in this house, and that's what they did. That's why their communities were so strong. If it was one thing that I would like for our generation to see in our time, is to see the unity in our community. I think that's the one thing, that's the biggest thing that we lack amongst our community today, because I feel like the post slavery, it made us get to a point to where we don't trust anybody. You know, it's kind of like, you know, we trust our family members, we trust a few friends, but you get this JoJo, no, he ain't coming over here. What you mean? We just having dinner. Listen, bro, he not eating over here. He not coming in my house. You know, because we done went through the crack epidemic. Everybody done went through that relative that you gotta hide everything because they gonna sell that thing just to go get that extra rock. It disbanded our community in so many different ways. Even though people wanted to get their ends to make ends meet, they tired of seeing mama struggle. They tired of seeing grandmama struggle. So people had to do what they had to do. But look at the detriment it did in the long run. Look at how much time was lost for individuals behind bars. Look at the loved ones that was taken out, and innocent people who was taken out because of all of this. So when you harbor all of that pain, you know, Big Mama's always going to tell you, hey, lean on the Lord. And part of you leaning on the Lord is what the Bible say, Los? Deny yourself. Pick up your cross daily and follow me. So if you deny yourself every day, guess what? The old Lim might put hands on somebody. But today he's the new Lim. He ain't gonna put hands, he's gonna go pray for the young man. You know, and so the thing is, we gotta learn to, like they say, they hear the song say, let go and let God. Once you learn how to let go and let God, it's like, if vengeance is truly his, when that day come, it'll be a nasty day, because there's so many things that we can look at, the injustices, the the racism that, you know, blacks have dealt with on a whole grand scale, the driving while black. We ain't even talking about DUI. I understand you pulling me over if I been drinking, I'm intoxicated, but we're talking about me driving through the Palisades, and just because of the color of my skin, you say, hey, you're not supposed to be over here. What do you mean? I have a car. I can go from A to Z. I'm not bothering anybody, but you telling me I shouldn't be here just off the color of my skin. So I always tell everybody, you know, we definitely have to stay woke and know what we're dealing with, but you definitely don't want to hold on to pain in the 21st century that we're in, when we have so many things out here to help us overcome those traumatic childhood events and lifetime events. Floor is yours, bro.
You know what? I'm gonna take a different approach as well. Um, I'm gonna go here, right? The Bible, since we're already on the Bible also says charity starts at home first, right? So that means you're supposed to be able to take care of your people. And I'm with you on. I do want to see a point in time that this generation can see unity. right? So I'm gonna really, really disagree with Rome. So Rome always say that he tired of marching. He don't want to do no more march. If you march, don't call me. This is what he
Absolutely.
say, right? So the only I'm gonna disagree because right now I just had an epiphany. Right now, while we on this call, I just had an epiphany, and this is what brings people together because I was showing my Sunday school class the kids, and it was this video on YouTube saying is kids important or were kids important to the whole civil rights movement. And so we started watching all the kids that got arrested for the sit-ins, right? And so how they use the kids to go into the restaurants to be able to get them to serve them and be able to make a statement. But if you think about it, most tragedies, even limbs in here in LA, when it was a fire out here, most you ain't even know your neighbors. But this forced you to go out. Hey, you got a generator? Are you good? You cool? And it forced you to be able to learn and understand your neighbors because y'all can come together in kumbaya in the middle of tragedy, right? So what I'm saying is, whereas we talked about all this grace limb, and how just God is and vengeance is mine. Y'all forgot the Old Testament where throwing hands was acceptable. Y'all forgot when we could get the guns and go to war, right? So all I'm saying to you is, and I'm not promoting violence, but I ain't Dr. King either, right? But what I am saying to you is, if we can all hover together to have a plan. I just saw a couple emails going out. I sent it to y'all brothers about boycotting Target and Walmart and don't go for 2 days and all of that. But if everybody was on the same page, Jamal Bryant say 100,000 people he was trying to get to do this, right? Collectively. But what I'm saying is, if we could do one thing small all together, that's success. So my thing is, if we go down there, I mean, I ain't want to go hit Lim, and I know this is gonna hype him up, but the Proud Boys went up there throwing some hands, and they got up. I mean, they got up there and went to go make a statement that's gonna be in our history books. And all LeBron James and them had to do is say, "No, I ain't playing for George Floyd." That's all they had to say is, "I ain't playing." But the Proud Boys went up there, picked the lock, bust those the door, waving the fofo, shot a couple police and some more stuff. Who else wanted? Who else? They went to jail, got out free, erased off my record like it ain't never happened. And I'm not promoting the Proud Boys, but what I am saying to you is, it's either we gonna come together or not, because the days of us having a black leader are officially over, which is sad, right? So now what I'm saying to you is, now we got to hover together to come up with a plan. I believe us as a shit, we leaders. So we got to hover up a plan with, even if it's me, you, Rome, and Jeff, we got to hover up a plan to say, hey, this is what we going to do. We going to help our people. And so for me, I'm taking responsibility. I'm helping the kids of this generation. So I made it my business to reach out to the kids that I work with, every Sunday. I'm over the program. That's what I do. I try to be, and I help the seniors. I hope the older generation and the younger generation. That's my commitment to be able to push our people forward. What you got, Lim?
Well, I'm glad you surrendered to that thought that we still wait for a black messiah. So you come a long ways, Los. I'm watching you. I'm watching you. But with that being said, yeah, I think that would be a good goal for all of us, Los, our audience included, is what are we going to do this Black History Month to stand up as a leader, our own leaders in our own communities? Whether it's mentoring children, whether it's taking some time with our elderly, whether it's starting a business that can hire more of our people, whatever it may be, I think we all should come to some level of commitment to something. It could be small, and together it could be large. There's something that Los said that was powerful, how tragedy can bring a community together. It may look like a bad thing, but like you said, there's people, even in this fire, who live next door to each other who never said one word to their neighbors in 10, 15, 20 years. Ain't said a word. That fire happened, all of a sudden is, hey, you got a cooler? You got a generator? You got a hammer? You know, so even in our communities, we don't have to always wait till the fires of life come for Black folks to come together and say, "Hey, listen, man, you need some. I know you just got home from school, prison. Do you need some? You need me to give you a resource? I give you a referral to someone. You need me to do something." You'd be surprised how many of us don't trust our own people, and it's sad, but it comes from a place. And so just being able to have some sort of a positive commitment that you're going to do X, Y, Z to promote not just Black history, because that's just 1 month, but to promote Black community for here and beyond. I think that would be great. And if you have something, put it in the comments. How you're going to affect change in your community. Put it in the comment section. And we all are going to be committed. Everybody on this call is going to have something, if they don't now, of how they're going to turn their communities around. And I'm excited about this. And I thank you, Los, for that suggestion. Ron, what you got?
Rum, you can read Jeff comment too.
What?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, I'm
yeah.
about to read. I'm about to read. Hey, Jeff, we appreciate you, bro. Jeff says one idea is to poach each day in February a Black person that has done something awesome. So that can be the people we know. That can be the up and coming people that people don't know, the content creators. Because you got to believe this generation that's coming up right now, they're self-made millionaires. That doesn't mean God wasn't involved. That means that a lot of people didn't have college backgrounds. They went out there and had some, rough roads along the way, and then they found a niche, whether it was comedy, the content created, whether it was doing videos and just doing different songs. But y'all touched on some things about us stepping up in the community. And I'll say this, Los, when I say I'm not marching, I'm talking about the typical marchings, and that's not doing anything. When I was at Michigan State, 1 year, it was the year that affirmative action, just like we're dealing with the DEI right now, it was with the affirmative action. And the kids on campus, Latino, Latina, Blacks, everybody was kind of just like, man, what are we going to do? They may remove us from campus. People was afraid that they were going to be removed from the campus because they was removing affirmative action. And I remember this young lady, she was Black and she was Puerto Rican. So she represented both sides. And she came to me, she said, Ron, I need your help. I said, what you need me to do? She said, look, we're going to march into this meeting and we're going to go in there and let the president know he can't kick us off this campus because all of us deserve to be here, academically, this, and this. And I was like, wait a minute, you telling me you ain't just doing no marching? Because I told y'all, everybody know me. I ain't doing no marching just to be going out there kumbaya. I said, so you telling me you about to march and we going to go storm into the meeting? She said, yeah. I said, sign me up. Let me go put my schoolwork into this class, this homework. I said, I'll be right there chanting with y'all. Sure enough, when I turned that paperwork in, I turned that corner, they was chanting the song. So it was Blacks, it was the Latinos on the community, the campus, not the community, but the campus coming together. It was about 40 of us. We stormed into that meeting, so much so that the people ran out and left the president there by himself. And they closed the door. Like, hey, we ain't leaving here till you sign this paperwork saying that you gonna make sure that we don't leave this campus. Now, I'm not condoning violence. I just remember the man saying, so what y'all mean or else? They said you'll find out if you don't sign this paperwork. We telling you why we need this to happen. And we was in there with him a good hour and a half, disrupted his whole meeting. What I'm saying, I bring that up to say, we got to stop with the kumbaya. Like they say, they want to do a boycott. That's fine. But have a legitimate plan instead of just saying, we're going to do this for X amount of days. Have a legitimate plan. When you go out here and boycott, have a legitimate plan of what we as a people going to do in our own communities, and everything like that. So I think it's time for us to get away from expecting the government to help us with certain things. It's time for us to start holding, the people in our community accountable. Some of the athletes who claim to be about their community and start getting in front of those people and say, hey, here's the contingency plan. This is what we plan on doing. This is what we'll have to do. And like tutoring programs, you know, people to start having the Bible studies for the kids to understand what's going on. Just doing the whole nine. That's why I presented before the book Powernomics. If we're gonna do our own thing, we got to know how to do it on a financial standpoint, uh, policing standpoint, the whole nine economically, so that we can learn how to bounce our dollar in our own community before it goes out. That's my take.
Well,
I mean, man, I'm gonna say my big mama isms early, right?
okay.
I've been hiding it, but I'm gonna go and pull it out because it's the appropriate time, right? When you really think about it, when you really look at all of this stuff, right? There's nothing new under the sun, right? You heard me say that numerous times. That's a scripture, right? And this is why I get into it with my brother Lim all the time, right? This is what he was alluding to. Me personally, I believe we always had a leader. Even from biblical days, there was a king of Israel from the beginning all the way to the end. And matter of fact, when they said they didn't want no king, God didn't give them a king, and everything was chaotic. And they begging for a king after that. And so, what I'm saying to you is, from slavery all the way after that, it was always black leadership, right? And we was always able to understand a clear vision. Right now, there's nothing of the sort. So if you want to go to the Jesse Jacksons of the world or the Al Sharptons or the Dr. Umar Johnson, it's just way too extreme. That's not what we were used to, right? Because it's so extreme where people don't even want to follow that, right? Everybody else had something a little bit more logical, and they had two different views, like Booker T. Washington, W.E.B. Du Bois. One was for education, one was for jobs. That way, whatever you want to choose, you could go left or right. You could do whichever crossover you wanted to. Malcolm X said, we doing violence. Martin Luther King said non-violence. You could go left or right. We always had two all the time, right? Whatever side you want to go to. Right now, we got Dr. Umar. We got Dr. Umar Johnson. You got Israel, the Muslim guy. You got Roland Martin. You got Ben Carter. Who what are we talking about at the end of the day? So I say, me personally, I say we got King Lemuel, we got Romy Rome, we got Los, and at the end of the day, we are the leaders of today of what we got to say. That's all I'm trying to tell you. And so it's nothing new under the sun. If we had a leader before, we need a leader now. And I'm just trying to explain to you, somebody got to be able to hear from God to bring down what needs to happen. And we all need to be on the same page. But somebody need to be able to take it serious. Come on, Lim.
All right, so this brings talks about the leaders to today versus before and why it is challenging for our leaders. Now, think about this, everybody. Social media, camera phones. See, one of the things that Dr. King, Malcolm X, and we will go to even the biblical characters didn't have, people were micro analyzing every aspect of their personal life as they are today. So what people are saying today, if you want me to follow you, you can't be one thing in front of the camera and another thing behind the camera. How do we know this is a problem? The black church, the black preacher. One of the issues that we've had in the black church with the black preacher is men in the church, black men in this case, have drawn away from the preacher who's having sex with the ushers, choir people, and all that sort of thing. And we've called him to the aisle and said, no, that's not what we want. So it is more challenging today to be a leader because we have higher expectations, but most importantly, we can see more. So if you talking the talk, people are saying you got to walk the walk, and I think that's why it's challenging for leaders today. Now, with that being said, Let him who was without sin cast the first stone, Los. I know that's what you're thinking. I know it is. Yeah, we have to remember we all live in glass houses. There's nobody perfect. But with that being said, because we have the visibility, because we can see more, people do have higher expectations. And it's not fair, but it's the reality of the world we live in. With that said, it doesn't mean you shouldn't go out and do your part. With that said, it doesn't mean you should strive to be a better person, a better woman, a better man. But just know when you go off into that journey, everybody is watching and you don't have to be a celebrity. So go out with good intent. Understand your characters under the microscope. We hope that both of those things are in alignment, your character and your purpose. And with that being said, there's a lot of work to do. What did Jesus say? The harvest is plenteous, but the labors are few. Come
Yeah.
on, Ron. Let's get in here.
Hey, that boy been reading, ain't he?
Hey,
Yeah.
that boy well versed, well studied right there. Hey, we love it. No, all jokes aside, we in a place of desperation at this point as a people, in my opinion. Um, for those folks who don't know it, in 2000 to 2009, we went into an information technology. Cell phones took off. You went from a little bitty flip phone with the little call ID on the front to all of a sudden having iPhone, BlackBerry, or as I called it, Crackberry, Nextel, Sidekick. It was so many phones that came out in that era that what I'm telling y'all is happening, but it's happening behind the scenes for those who's working in distribution centers, things like that. We're coming into a deep robotic era over these next 4.5 years of our 10-year decade. Why am I bringing that up? This is the time, folks, for us to call on our HVAC people, our plumbers, electricians, barbers, stylists, everything like that. Because as Los is doing with the youth, we got to start teaching our people skills, trade positions, because robots is about to take a good portion of a lot of these jobs. How many of you been to your local Walmart, your local grocery store, and they got the self-serve? Man, I didn't say I want to be a bagger. I came here so you can bag the stuff. Now I got to go down the aisle and deep. I'm in there just like this, deep with no smile. All you hear is that beep, beep, no smile, beep. Because I got to do it myself. Because guess what? That line is always shorter. I can go over there to the person, but it's usually a few. Whereas that one that you do it yourself, that line has nobody in there. So everything is about speed. Everything is about getting in and out. And we have to reach back to our communities and start getting everybody educated. We got to start learning how to code. We got to start learning how to, people who good with their hands, it might be time for you to look into robotics, technician, engineer, aviation, things of that nature, because there's things out there that we can do, but now is the time. Don't wait until 2029, 2030 to start this stuff. Start right now. Some of these courses is free. Matter of fact, I think Google actually has 120 courses out there that you can do right now for free to learn how to do certifications on coding and things of that nature. But we got to learn how to get these trades, because if not, a lot of people will be unemployed. And unemployment is going to bring all kind of disasters, because when you strap for cash, it just breaks things go bad. So I'm saying that we got to take a priority on educating folks on how to get ready for what we're getting ready to enter into.
Yeah, I mean, what Rome said was right. I just think, even with what Lim was saying, I believe the difference is everybody could be famous. So I don't really think you have to be held to those standards. We got the cussing pastor, got a lot of members, we got a lot of followers, we got people getting naked on the internet, got a lot of followers. So you don't really have to practice what you preach. You could be naked on the internet and dress like a saint in Walmart, and people still gonna say, "Oh, ain't that old girl?" But so at the end of the day, you don't have to be that. Like matter of fact, LeBron James is LeBron James, and so whether he on or off the court, that's LeBron James, and so we gonna follow him no matter what. And if you don't believe me, go look at his followers. People follow him, whether he did some Jay Z, whether he did something wrong or not, they following him. It ain't gonna stop. And so I just think everybody has a voice. I don't know if we're using our voice for positivity. I don't know if we using our voice to say, hey, this is what we gonna do. Let's all meet up here. Now we'll say meet up in New York to go get these hidden sneakers that I'm giving away, and we'll do all that to get new followers and all the trends of all the kids watching YouTube. We'll do that. But when we say, hey, let's meet at TD Jakes Church and let's have a national day of prayer for Black people and what we gonna do to be able to change the dynamics of what we going through. Let's meet at Joel Osteen. Let's meet on at this park though. Let's meet at Central Park this day, this time. Everybody wear all black in unity, and this is what we gonna do. And I'm telling you, well, I don't care what religion you are. You could be Jehovah's Witness, you could be Seventh-day Adventist, you could be Apostolic. It don't matter. If somebody came up with a plan for Black people, I think we all in. That's what I think, me personally. And so that's what I'm gonna end with. That's my closing remarks. What you got, Romy?
Mm. Man, you just hit on something as you was talking. I was thinking of in the Bible, the Lord talks about. He says, "I have sheeps of other fold," and I just was thinking of that. Like, if we came together, we stopped letting our denominations stop us from uniting. You know, we understand what your doctrine says. You understand what my doctrine says. But if we can come together for the common good of the betterment of your people, if you over here know construction, you over here know real estate, you over here, we got to start teaching our people how to overcome poverty and impoverished conditions. You know, a lot of things start right here. It's a mindset. We got to change people's mindset to get over that hump, because I tell people all the time, college is not for everybody. But if you pick up a book, if you can get taught a course and you come over here over 6 weeks, each Saturday or each Sunday, to learn what this person is going to teach you so you could get over that hump, I think it'll be well worth the wait. So I think right now it's time for us to wake up and get up and start doing. And I think we seeing so much going on with the government right now. I always tell everybody, I can care less if you're a Republican, a Democrat, or independent. At the end of the day, that doesn't mean nothing to me, because the word I read, he says he has the government on his shoulders. So I can care less about all of that stuff. I'm all about the betterment of our people, the betterment of our future. And in order for us to really get on board, we got to work on our unity in the community. And that's what I'll end with. Go ahead, Lem.
I love it.
Well, I'm going to end with something. We probably going to make a segment for Black History Month. One black inventor we're going to talk about on each show. I got one that I'm extremely proud about, and he's a graduate of Stanford. He worked in the telecommunications industry for over 20 years. The inventor of the cell phone is not a white man or Hispanic man or a Jewish man. He is none other than Jesse Russell, father of four, and the inventor of the modern day cell phone, a black man. Look it up, ladies and gentlemen. And that's the responsibility I want to leave you guys with on a high note. Teach your children about the contributions of our people here in America. Because most of them don't know a black man invented the cell phone that we love so much. And white folks use it, Hispanics folks use it. All cultures are using something that a black man invented. And that's the way we're going to end today's show. We love you. We're praying for you, for all of our audience. We appreciate everyone who comes here faithfully to see us three give you a word, a message of encouragement. With that being said,
me
Goodbye.
say this.
See you next week. And I
Let me
think Los wants to say something,
let me
as
say
usual.
no. Let me just say this. This on a serious note.
Okay.
So we had a show before with my friend Quasi on, right? And he just lost his life, right? He just passed away week before last. And I want to dedicate this show to him. Young man, he was number 41. I'm not sure exactly how he passed. My nephew sent me a Facebook posting and I was devastated, right? But he's been on the show before. He talked about, taking care of his mom who is bedridden and his dad passed and he was doing all of this on his own. Very intellectual brother. He was a Kappa, went to Lewis University. We worked at Clear Channel together. So I just want y'all to be able to keep his family in prayer. My aunt as well in Chicago. She's fighting for her life right now as we speak. It's a lot going on, but I just want y'all to be able to appreciate. I know this Black History Month, but I want y'all to take time to appreciate your loved ones. It's very, very important because tomorrow's not promised, it's a privilege. Love y'all.
See y'all.